Chopper met Ace when he arrived on the island in search of Blackbeard. Chopper let him know that Luffy would be meeting him soon in Alabasta. And this confused Ace at first, but he chose to trust Chopper, sensing that the little reindeer was telling the truth. Anyway, after picking up Chopper, the crew would head straight to Alabasta. Instead of wasting their time with the rebels, they'd immediately make their way towards the capital. Using the knowledge they had from their previous life, the Straw Hats would easily find Crocodile's bomb and disarm it before it exploded. The crew would then team up with Ace, and Luffy would promise his brother that he would help him find Blackbeard. Luffy would do this in order to keep Ace safe and make sure he doesn't get imprisoned again. After all that, the crew, along with Ace, would easily defeat Crocodile and all of his Baroque Works agents. With all that settled, the Straw Hats and Ace would leave Vivi behind and head for Jaya. Luffy, Ace, and Zoro would then confront Blackbeard right then and there, almost destroying the entire island in the process. However, despite their combined effort, I still believe Blackbeard would manage to escape somehow, possibly by using his devil fruit in some way or by threatening to kill some of the civilians. Anyways, after Blackbeard escaped, Luffy and Ace would part ways, with Ace promising Luffy that he'd be careful not to get caught. The Straw Hats would then be on their way, completely forgetting about Skypiea. That is, until the knockup stream suddenly sent them flying up anyway. As Skypiea, Zoro and Sanji would volunteer to go first and defeat Enel's forces. Considering Luffy is the only one immune to Enel's lightning, he would go and confront Enel directly. Enel would be absolutely surprised by Luffy's strength and hockey this time around and would get defeated in minutes. Floating back to the blue planet's surface, the Straw Hats would then set their sights on visiting Long Ring Long Land. They wouldn't take part in the baby back fights, however, since they'd rather just beat down Foxy's crew instead for terrorizing the locals. Eventually, they'd come face to face with their biggest threat so far, Aokiji. So how would this encounter go? Well, believe it or not, the crew wouldn't actually have to fight Aokiji at all this time. You see, since Saul survived, it's likely that he would stay in contact with Aokiji, considering that the two of them were good friends prior to the Ohara incident. Because of this, Aokiji would already know about Nico Robin and would not attempt to arrest her. Assessing the crew's strength, he'd warn them to stay on their best behavior or he'd be forced to take them down before taking his leave. With that done, the Straw Hats would then head towards Water 7 and would be surprised to see that the city looked way better than it used to. There, they'd meet Frankie at the shore working for Tom, who would also be alive in this scenario. After a quick chat with Frankie and the former pirate king Shipwreck, the Straw Hats would be led to a dock where they'd find the Thousand Sunny already made and ready to go. While the others checked out the ship, Frankie would start sharing his story with Luffy. Most of his childhood played out the same as in the original timeline, but one major change is that Frankie installed security systems on his warships as a kid. This prevented Spam Dam from ever taking control of the ships, which meant Tom survived. Later, when CP9 attempted to infiltrate the island, Frankie told everyone what they looked like, making it impossible for them to operate undercover. Over the years, they sent in agents to steal the blueprints by force, but Frankie and Tom's defense inventions kept the island safe. Luffy and the others would be absolutely impressed with Frankie and everything he managed to achieve. By the time they were ready to leave, Luffy would meet Garp, but would stand his ground against his grandfather this time. Although Garp would be impressed with his grandson, he is still much stronger than him and would send him flying soon after. The crew would then use Kuda Burst to reach their next destination, the Florian Triangle. There, they'd meet Brook again, who at this point had spent 50 years suffering through loneliness. You see, even though Brook tried to change his past and save his former crew, he was unfortunately unable to and had to live through that same tragedy all over again. Until now, Brook had crossed paths with Gecko Moria a few times, but always managed to keep his shadow and fight back. With the gang's help, Brook would then blitz through Moria's castle, and together they put an end to his twisted plans, without Oars ever being reawakened. After absolutely destroying all of their enemies on the Grand Line, the Straw Hats would wind up getting a lot more attention than they did in their past lives. Pulling up to Sabaudi Archipelago, they'd be instantly recognized by the locals. With most, if not everyone, staying out of their way, they'd head straight for Shaki's bar. Unable to find Rayleigh there, Luffy would head for the human auction house next in order to find him. There, he'd pick a fight with yet another celestial dragon before taking off with Rayleigh and tearing the entire place down. Despite the pacifistas and Kizaru pressuring them, the Straw Hats would easily handle the opposition before escaping the island. Since the Marines were on Sabaudi, the Straw Hats, along with Rayleigh, would have to dock on some random nearby island in order to get their ship coded. There, they'd spend some time laying low before resuming their journey to Fishman Island. Once they got there, they would immediately meet Jinbei, who had already dealt with Hody Jones all by himself. It's here we learn Jinbei's full story. Growing up, Jinbei was still there to support Fisher Tiger through everything, even watching his captain walk toward his own demise despite all his warnings. Afterwards, Jinbei made a different choice. He refused to help Arlong escape from prison, which meant Arlong never made it to Nami's island in the first place. Instead, Jinbei focused on protecting the Ryugu kingdom from any bad actors, including Hody Jones. And because he still had his memories, he was even able to save Queen Otohime from dying. Thanks to all of this, Jinbei became a hero on Fishman Island and one of the king's most trusted advisors. After listening to his story, the entire crew would be taken to Ryugu Palace for a magnificent feast. They'd spend a few days there to rest and would soon be on their way. On the other side of the Red Line, they'd soon arrive at Punk Hazard. Once they noticed the island is completely covered with poisonous gas, Chopper would develop a drug to neutralize it before they set foot on